This is a short-term disruption for the long-term gain.
Short-term pain for the long-term gain.
Short-term pain be for long-term gain.
We're going to have some short-term pain with long-term gain.
Short-term pay for a long-term gain.
Some short-term pain, yes, but we've got some long-term gain. Short-term spike for a long-term gain.
Some short-term pain for American consumers.
We may have to deal with that in the short term.
Short-term and temporary.
Temporary, short-term pain.
It's going to suck in the short term.
Some short-term pain.
Short-term pain. We have to focus on the short-term.
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 Short-term and long-term.
Short-term left. Hopefully this is a short-term pain.
Short-term is highly outweighed of the long-term benefits.
Some short-term pain for the long-term gain.
Short-term sacrifice for a long-term gain.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the Rescue Michigan Sunday night live stream where we're experiencing a little short-term pain. But don't worry. Everything is under control, right? Right, guys? You definitely don't want any panikins. We don't want panikins. Here's the AI-generated slop from the Trump administration just a day or so ago. 51 stars on that American flag. Great job, guys. There you go. It's everything's under control. Don't worry. The story in Iran is changing by the day. The reasons we're there change by the day. But everything's great. That's why we are sending the Marine Expeditionary Unit, is because they're just there to make the success even more successful, right? That's what's going on. Is that right? I don't know. I did see a number of military professionals had some questions about this idea of sending a Marine Expeditionary Unit to the Persian Gulf. Here, for example, is one of them. This is Scott Ritter, who is himself a Marine veteran intelligence officer. Here's what he says. The truth is, USS Tripoli, an America-class amphibious assault ship that carries the embarked 31st MEU, can't get anywhere near the island because the Strait of Hormuz is closed. To even try to enter the Persian Gulf is the kind of suicidal venture former Marine Commandant General David Berger warned about in his 29. And this goes on for a long time. You get the idea. Scott Ritter, not a big recommender of the idea of sending in these 2,500 Marines. Apparently also 2,500 Navy soldiers are heading out that way too. That was his take. Here's another one from Matthew Ho, also a veteran. And here's what he says. Sending the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit from Okinawa to the Arabian Sea 2 weeks after beginning the war says several things to me. One, they didn't think the war was going to last this long. Lots of other evidence for this, but not having an MEU available when the U.S. traditionally has one in both the Mediterranean Sea and the Persian Gulf shows astonishing hubris, incompetence, and fantastical thinking. That out of the 10 MEUs the U.S. Marine Corps fields, the only available MEU is the one dedicated to East Asia, showing how overextended the U.S. military is. Anyway, he goes on, and you can see he has concerns about this. Commentators on X, social media, and cable news who are talking about this MEU as being able to take and hold ground simply don't know what they're talking about. It is possible for them to take oil platforms or seize small and isolated islands, but forced entry akin to the Battle of Tarawa is simply something the modern MEU cannot do. Anyway, he goes on there. And then we also have, this is, I thought, kind of interesting story. This is from a group called Center on Conscience and War. We mentioned them last week. They're the ones that were taking all these reports of these commanding officers having various religious ideas about the apocalyptic nature of this conflict with Iran. And here's what they say. They've gotten they've been talking to a spouse of an infantryman in the very unit heading towards Iran. And here is what they report. Her husband wants nothing to do with this war and is not alone. Some Marines in the unit, specifically rank E3 to E5, do not agree with the mission. She reported that decline of confidence in the Department of War began with the Venezuela operation, intensified with the Manab school massacre. That was, those 170-some children that they killed on day one. That Trump claims the Iranians did, even though it happened the same time as the very sneak attack. What a coincidence! The same moment that the U.S. was carrying out their sneak attack on Iran, Iran bombed their own school. Anyway, Marines didn't have time to talk options as they're already being deployed. And then the only communication allows a single email through a supervisor's account for vetting, described as last message home. She tells us at least one high-ranking officer in the unit is war hungry, making repeated comments about it being a holy war for Armageddon, causing some Marines and families to believe they have no regard for safety of these men or the legality of their orders. The buzz among military families, U.S. officials not being honest about casualties. Well, let's talk about kind of the reality of things, which, again, it's the fog of war. So there's a lot of facts in dispute. But there's a few basic things I think we need to step back and appreciate. First thing is, we're now day 16 into this war. So we're past 14 days to slow the spread. And the Iranian government is clearly now stable. And all of the hardcore bombings from our side and from the Iranians have petered out a bit. And things have, let's, I guess, say stabilized, which is not to say things are stable, but to say that things aren't drastically changing day to day, which means it's not like this war is going to be over in the next week or so, or the next week or so. Here are just a few of the things that have happened just recently. So here, for example, this is an attack on a base in the Victoria base, which is right near Baghdad in Iraq. And here is video of that. I think. So there's the U.S. base on fire. There's actually an incredible video. This is a video which you guys can see here. I'll make this full screen. This is the U.S. Victoria base in Baghdad. And let me turn this on. It's just music. You can just see the FPV drone. Absolutely incredible footage you get these days. But this is just a drone just kind of strolling around the base. And you'll see in a second it does find a target before too long. So reportedly, there's basically like no air defenses left in the U.S. assets or Israel. Which means that now Iran is just kind of hitting things as they please, which is crazy. I want to let this video play. I think we're a little more than it's almost over, but here now it's found its target and it's going in, and you can watch what it'll do right there. Oh, no, not that one. Hold on. Oh, is it going in? Maybe this is a different video than the one I saw earlier. Oh, wait. Yep, there it goes. And bam. So that's in Iraq. The war has now expanded. It's not just the U.S. versus Iran. There is reportedly a lot of trouble in Iraq. A lot of troops are in harm's way. In fact, and by the way, here's another one. This is also from Iraq. The U.S. Embassy, this is not the same base. It's the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad, where a drone strike hit. Looks like it took out a radar used for air defense. The green zone has little to no air defense. The USA has advised them to evacuate. These are not good signs. Meanwhile, in Iran, they have just had a holiday where Iranian officials are just walking through the streets. And here's a whole bunch of them. There is the foreign minister. There is the president of Iran, Pezeshkian. There's a bunch of these other figures here, Speaker of Parliament, Ministry of Defense. And here's a video. This is incredible to me. Watch this video. This is, we don't need to hear what he said. I'm going to mute it because they're just speaking in Farsi anyway. There is subtitles. But more importantly, this is the foreign minister of Iran. This is a guy who has been on American television. And look at the people just walking right past him. Just walking by. Have you ever seen any American official? Can you imagine Marco Rubio or Pete Hegseth or any of these guys just walking down the street without, without a complete, a complete garrison of security surrounding them at every step? Here's another one. This is I guess this guy, it says he's the head of Iran's judiciary. I guess that means some kind of Supreme Court justice or something. This one I do want to play the audio. Inshallah, as this note says, he's speaking to this reporter saying whatever and looking at a bomb dropping on the crowd, and they don't even pause. Watch this.
مردم که نمیتونیم متاسفانه این شور و احساسی که مردم دارن، اما ما میخوایم با مردم در کنار مردم آخرین نفس و تا آخرین لحظه در مقابل اونها مردم از این تاپ نمی‌ترسن، مردم ملاحظه میکنن در زیر این باران و در زیر این
Do these people look like they're anywhere close to overthrowing their government? Or does it look like the government's in control? It looks to me like the government's in control. So the real objective of this whole operation was regime change, and that's clearly not happening. So now the story's been changing. It's to go after the nuclear weapons. We heard that once or twice. Now it's to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. And yeah, so here's another I think data point on how the war is going right now. 20 people in the UAE have been charged with sharing videos of Iranian strikes. A reminder, we have absolutely no clue about this situation really as any of these countries. And again, it's not even just Iran. You know, if we're thinking about the consequences of what the administration has done, there is now instability in the entire region, in the UAE, in Qatar. These are countries that depend on tourism, and that there's a guarantee of safety that no longer exists there, and they're in huge trouble. Here's another data point. This is the air defense missiles, the THAAD missiles, it's theater high altitude air defense systems. Pentagon is now moving its limited systems from South Korea, which were put there to threaten China. So we're taking away, as the Marine Expeditionary Unit, which also came from East Asia, we're taking away our military resources from other parts of the globe to take to the Middle East. And here is, again, another story about the military personnel in Iraq. U.S. struggles to evacuate American personnel from facilities under fire in Iraq, say officials. You know, you guys know there's like 1 million Americans that live in the Middle East, and they're all just kind of stuck there. With order to evacuate bases 10 days ago, the military cannot leave and remain under intense fire from Iranian drones and local Shiite militias. Iran managed to open fire against almost all American bases in the region to the point that the military had to abandon these bases in a $1 billion loss. Patriot missiles were powerless in the face of the number of attacks. However, I believe this is the person writing this. Anti-drone systems of these bases were now strengthened for an eventual confrontation with Iran. Yeah, there was actually a kind of a good summary of the problems that we're having right now. From, of all people, a Democrat senator. It's Chris Murphy, but it doesn't matter who the speaker is. It matters what his point is, which is that there are 4 major problems we have going on right now. Number 1, the Strait of Hormuz, which as of now, despite what the administration is saying, is still basically closed. They can let some ships through, those ships that they want to allow through, but otherwise they're closed. Oil prices are spiking. And now they are desperately trying to get the strait reopened somehow. We'll look at the things Trump is trying to do about that in a second. But that's the one thing, is the Strait of Hormuz. Second thing is the missiles and drones, namely the drones. Because drones are cheap, they're easy to make, they have tons and tons of them, and we have no air defenses right now. So we have the logistical disadvantage because Iran is right there. They're halfway across the world from us. So that's another huge problem. So the Gulf states are running out of the interceptors, and pretty soon Iran can just attack anything in the region they want to, which they are threatening to attack all kinds of things, including everything from not just military bases, but like Amazon data centers. All kinds of U.S. assets in the region are now under threat. Number 3, regional wars. The possibility of the Shiite militias, taking over all of the U.S. military assets in Iraq. God knows what might happen in Syria. There could be a coup in Bahrain, maybe. You never know. You know, Bahrain is an island. It's actually, there's a 27-kilometer bridge that connects that connects Bahrain to the mainland peninsula. All it takes is them to destroy one bridge and they're stranded there. And then the fourth thing being there's no end game. There is no plan to end this right now. We'll look at more of that in a few minutes. And by the way, guys, I know there's a lot of other things going on in the world. This is the thing that is swallowing this administration whole. Not that it was in great shape to begin with, but this is going to be haunting the Trump administration through the midterms. And I gotta say, that's a real shame. You know, I did I was at a fundraising event yesterday for Laura Perry, who's running for state rep. I really love Laura Perry. I want her to win. I really want her to succeed. I want to do everything I can to help her win. I actually emceed the event. But one of the guests at the event, Joe Bellino, Senator Joe Bellino, he says this to the room of people, and he meant well by it. But he says, you know, the Lansing lobbyists say Laura Perry can't win, but blah 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 blah, and here's why she can. This district is the most flippable district in the state house. It's the district that got the closest to being taken by a Republican candidate that's not currently occupied by a Republican candidate. It is the best chance to pick up a seat in the state house that we have. And according to Joe Bellino, Lansing lobbyists say it is unwinnable. Which, again, he meant to say that in good spirits, and here's why I think she can win. But, you know, but the thing is, the premise is the political professionals in Lansing, the lobbyist class, are saying we can't win a single seat. We can't pick up any seats, is what they're saying. So what I'm saying, that's what they were saying. So this is kind of a big deal, kind of a thing that needs to be confronted and, you know, stopped. Here's also this, you got to see this clip if you haven't seen this. This is Scott Bessent, and he was doing a live interview, and then he suddenly gets pulled away. He says the president wants you right away, and then he comes back. Watch what Scott Bessent is like when he comes back from this meeting, and watch also, this is what I say he gives a weird answer to. Watch what he says when he gets back. Watch this. What do you think?
I listened to you on the...
The president wants you. Sorry, the president wants you.
Oh, okay. Okay. No problem at all. See you shortly, Mr. Secretary. Mr. Secretary, I have to say, it's a first, I'm sure.
Okay, so an hour and a half later, Scott Bessent is now back from his meeting with Trump. Let's see how this next question goes.
Alas, as well, that an interviewee's been pulled away to go to the Situation Room. How's the president? Was he stressed?
Okay. Note this, what the question was. The question was, how is the president? Is he stressed? Which you would think would be a super easy question to answer. Oh, he's great. No, everything's great. That's all I got to say, right? How is the president? Is he stressed? Well, you know, it's a stressful job, but he's handling it like a champ because he's Donald Trump. Of course, he can handle anything, right? Isn't that what you would say if you were Scott Bessent and you were asked that question, no matter what the actual circumstances are? That's your answer, right? Here's how Scott Bessent answers this question.
No, the president is in great spirits. The Iranian mission is proceeding well ahead of schedule. And you know, I have to tell you, Wolf, that I've a teenager who's considering military service. And I could give this team my highest compliment, from President Trump to the head of the Joint Chiefs to the Secretary of War. I would say that I would trust my child's life in their hands.
Does that sound like a truthful, honest answer to you guys? You know, the mission in Bahrain is going great. Everything's right on schedule. And I got to tell you, my kid, by the way, you know, Scott Bessent's a homosexual. His kid is, well, I don't know, I assume it's probably of a surrogate mother or something. My kid is just totally fine and great and dandy. And I would totally trust him with the president, his life with the president as the commander in chief. Yeah, everything's great, Scott. Yeah, sure. Sure. That sounded very reassuring. I don't know. Anyway, but we're told everything's going great. In fact, there was someone else made a really interesting note about just how the numbers, the more they change, the more they stay the same. Here's some guy on X, but here's what he posted. He's a Jerusalem Post writer, and he says, at the end of the 12-day war in June, this is last year, the IDF spokesperson said the military had destroyed about 80% of Iran's missile launchers, leaving roughly 100 to 150. Okay, so he's saying originally they had 500 to 750 missile launchers, but after last year we destroyed 80% of them. Now they're down to 100 to 150. 2 weeks ago, when this war began, the estimate again was that Iran had about 100 to 150 launchers. 8 days into the war, after nonstop bombing, the IDF was still saying Iran had about 150 launchers. Now, on day 13 of this campaign, we are told Israel has destroyed about 75% of the launchers, and that Iran still has 100 to 200 remaining. So the number just doesn't change. Somehow, no matter how much we destroy their military infrastructure, they still have the same amount, no matter what. So what's going on? He says, every war starts with the same number. Halfway through the war, the number is the same. And now the number is the same. When the next war begins, eventually, we're at the same number again. There are only two possible explanations. Either the numbers never change, or the numbers were never real to begin with. Yeah. And again, folks, I have watched daily battlefield reports from the Ukraine war for the past 4 years. And the only thing that is consistent is that the government of Ukraine lies insanely about how great everything is going. It's not even just like, slightly tweaking the losses. It's like absolute total divorce from reality, to the point of, yeah, Russia fired 5,000 missiles into Ukraine tonight and we shot down every single one of them. Like, that's the kind of stuff that the Ukrainians have been saying for the past 4 years. Along with, of course, that timeless classic, Russia's about to run out of missiles. They're almost out of missiles. Their economy is about to collapse. The soldiers are all dead or dying. The commanders are all miserable. Their morale is really low. They can't possibly win. And meanwhile, 4 years later, the war grinds on. Russia takes more and more and more territory, and Ukraine still says, "Yeah, we lose one soldier for every 10 that we take." Yeah, well, then why is Russia still fighting the war? There is just absolutely no connection between what the government says is going on and what is actually going on. But the proof of what's going on is, well, what we saw earlier with Iranian officials walking down the streets of Tehran with no fear whatsoever of being couped or being murdered or anything at all. And there's been evidence of that all week long. So with that, let's turn to how Trump has handled all of this incredible news. And I got to say, Trump is really getting just crazier and crazier, seemingly by the day. So let's look at some of the things that Trump has been saying just this week. So here we go. Let's see. I tried to make these like kind of mostly sort of chronological. So let's start with this one. This is Trump on the beginning of this week. And here is explanation number 69 for why we started this war. This time it's because Jared Kushner told me that Iran was going to attack us. Here we go. Here's Trump.
The situation was very quickly approaching the point of no return, and the United States found it intolerable, in my opinion, based on what Steve and Jared and Pete and others were telling me, Marco. So
it makes you wonder if he's not starting to subtly lay the foundation for throwing them under the bus in the future. Yeah, I did what I did because based on what Jared and Steve and Pete Hegseth and Marco Rubio told me. And here's what they told me.
Involved, that I thought that they were going to attack us. I thought they would, if we didn't do this at the time we did it, I think they had in mind to attack us. And
just pure projection. Yeah, we're having these peace negotiations with Iran, and I thought they were going to attack us. So that's why I carried out this premeditated sneak attack that we've been planning for weeks. Okay. And then, of course, there was this gem from Trump, the short-term pain for long-term gain, the excursion.
Stronger, and our country is doing really well. I mean, at a level that nobody thought. We took a little excursion because we felt we had to do that to get rid of some evil. And I think you'll see it's going to be a short-term excursion.
A short-term excursion. You like the little wavy thing to do with his hand too, though. It's just a wave. It's just an excursion, man. We're just taking a little trip down Iran lane. Just gonna kill some bad people and then just march on home. Everything will be great. I've seen a lot of people, by the way, saying Trump needs to just declare victory and come home. We'll forgive him if he just declares victory and come home. Just end it now, get out. That's what a lot of people are saying Trump should do. And that's, I mean, certainly I think he should. I think he should end this now. It's not going to get any better. It's only going to fester. It's only going to get even worse and worse. The problem, though, is how in the world do you spin this? Oh, yeah, it's all gone great. A couple of $1 billion radars destroyed. You know, just some military hardware we can't replace. Some casualties. We replaced the Ayatollah Khamenei with Ayatollah Khamenei, and had a blockade for several weeks there. You know, our Arab allies will never trust us again. Oh, and Israel's going to be bombarded constantly forever from now on. But other than that, everything went fine. That's not going to work. That's not going to work. And the Iranians have kept saying, we are not going to. In fact, the Iranians laid out their terms this week. They finally said what their terms were for ending the war. What their terms were. Their terms were all American forces withdrawn from the region and reparations. That's what the Iranians said, as when they'll stop firing off missiles. So we'll see. We shall see. In that same speech, by the way, Trump also laid this little gem.
They say it's safer to sink him. I guess it's probably true. But
Let me go back. Here we go.
Just captured the ship. We could have used it. Why did we sink him? He said it's more fun to sink him. I said they like sinking.
It's fun to sink ships. And this, by the way, I forgot to mention this last week. For those of you who don't know, a little over a week ago, the administration, I forgot if it was the Navy or it must be the Navy or the Air Force, right? The Army is not really involved in this war yet, are they? Anyway, we sank a ship, an Iranian ship that came back from India, where it had participated in some sort of ceremonial thing. The ship itself was a warship, but it wasn't armed because it was doing this ceremonial thing in India. Apparently, the Indians actually called us to give us the location of the ship to say the ship was in our territory during this ceremonial parade thing. It's unarmed. Don't attack it. And we responded by brutally murdering the entire crew of the ship, sinking the ship. So there's Trump. Hey, why capture the ship? It's an expensive ship. Why capture it? Because they told me just to sink it. It's more fun to sink it, he said. Why capture the ship and not murder the entire crew when killing them all is so fun? The Iranians caught notice of this, by the way, as you would expect. But of course, the big thing this week has been Trump's posts on Truth Social. He has gone all out on Truth Social. So here, for example, is Trump from earlier this week. If Iran does anything that stops the flow of oil within the Strait of Hormuz, well, guess what? They closed the Strait of Hormuz. So that's already happened. They will be hit by the United States 20 times harder than they have been hit thus far. That sounds realistic. Additionally, we will take out easily destroyable targets that will make it virtually impossible for Iran to ever be built back as a nation. Death, fire, and fury will reign, which he misspelled. Well, death, fire, and fury will rain upon them, but I hope and pray that this does not happen. This is psychopathic talk again. This is a gift from the United States of America to China and all those nations that heavily use the Hormuz Strait. Yes, guys. Is that right? Is that right? Is that what you voted for? A gift to China. Trump will destroy Iran, making it virtually, I mean, again, he says these things deliberately to be war crimes. Yeah, of course you can go to war, but you can't go to war to make it virtually impossible for a nation to ever be built back again. What does that even mean? I'm going to turn Iran into a nuclear wasteland. It's kind of what it sounds like. A gift to China, he says. That was Trump on, what was that? Monday, Tuesday? And then there was this one. The Iran national soccer team is welcome to the World Cup, but I really don't believe it is appropriate that they be there for their own life and safety. He's threatening to what? Kidnap and or murder Iran's soccer team? How fucking sick is this? How fucking sick is this guy? Here's another beauty for you. Let's listen to this one.
They try to hit us back. Have you been briefed about how many Iran sleeper cells there could be inside the U.S. right now?
I have been, and a lot of people came in through Biden with this stupid open border. But we know where most of them are. We've got our eye on all of them, I think.
Yeah, we know where most of the Iranian terror sleeper cells are. We're not going to stop them or anything. We're just going to keep an eye on them. We're just going to watch them. Is that what Democrats do when Republicans act up? Oh, we're just going to watch them. We know who they are, but we're going to let them be. No, they run us up and arrest us. Why isn't, if there are, I mean, unless of course the story's complete bullshit, unless of course they're planning a false flag attack and they're, working with them. We know where all these Iranian terror sleeper cells are. We'll talk about the synagogue thing in a little bit here too. But yeah, we know where the terror sleeper cells are. We're just let them sit there and just kind of keep an eye on them. And then there was this one. We are totally destroying the terrorist regime of Iran militarily, economically, and otherwise. Yet if you read the failing New York Times, you would incorrectly think we are not winning. Iran's navy is gone. By the way, speaking of the Iranian navy, did you guys notice that was one of those things that just got kind of thrown in there? Like late in the story. That was now, according to Rubio, one of our original objectives was to destroy the Iranian navy. The Iranian navy that nobody on earth had ever heard of until like 4 days after the start of the attack on Iran. Then suddenly it's all about the Iranian navy. We have to destroy like Iran's like this great naval power we've never heard of before. Their navy is gone. Their air force is no longer. Missiles, drones, and everything else are being decimated. We'll talk about decimated in a minute. And their leaders have been wiped from the face of the earth. We just looked at all their leaders walking in the streets last week. We have unparalleled firepower, unlimited ammunition. Is that how that works? Unlimited ammunition? I don't think you have unlimited air defense missiles, that's for sure. Watch what happens to these deranged scumbags today. This was 3 days ago, so nothing happened. They've been killing innocent people all over the world for 46. This is just complete derangement. And now I, as the 47th president of the United States, am killing them. What a great honor it is to do so. And as this person accurately says, Trump now sounds like a full-blown warmongering psychopath. Totally the opposite of the man I thought I voted for. He's like he's been demonically possessed. Yeah, Robert Barnes was talking about this on, I believe it was on this guy Stanislav Krapovnik's show, and he says he's talking to some cabinet officials, and they say Trump is being given the mushroom treatment, which means he's being kept in the dark and being fed bullshit. They will not let any bad news come to Trump. But he's literally being kept in an isolation chamber, being fed nothing but good news. Hence the topic of this stream, because you ever see the movie Downfall? It's about how in the fall of the Third Reich, Hitler was kept in this bunker, and anyone who had given him bad news was getting canned. So everyone just was getting him good news, and he was issuing these orders that nobody's even paying attention to because they knew they were losing. Here's another one. This is from Trump. This is just a couple of days ago. When oil prices go up, we make a lot of money. Hear that, guys? High gas prices are actually good. Amazing. And as Max Blumenthal points out, Trump confirms he and his cronies make a lot of money from the spike in oil prices. Because there he goes. And so here's what he says about Iran. Today, an evil empire, Iran from having nuclear weapons. Back on nuclear weapons. You don't hear much about nuclear weapons these days, but here he is talking about nuclear weapons again. From destroying the entire Middle East. What the hell is he talking about? We'll come back to that thought. Then we have this one. Moments ago, at my direction, the U.S. Central Command executed one of the most powerful bombing raids in the history of the Middle East. Everything else was nothing compared to this one. Totally obliterated every military target in Iran's crown jewel, Karg Island. And again, nothing verifiable in anything he says. Weapons are the most powerful and sophisticated the world has ever known. That's complete bullshit. Russia has way more sophisticated weapons. Iran has more sophisticated weapons. They've got hypersonic missiles. We don't. For reasons of decency, I have chosen not to wipe out the oil infrastructure. You mean because they would respond by attacking oil infrastructure all over the Persian Gulf and you don't want $7 a gallon gas? However, should Iran or anyone else do anything to interfere with the free and safe passage of ships through the Strait, again, this has already happened. The Strait of Hormuz is closed. I will immediately reconsider this decision. Well, yeah, he's trying to send Marines to take Cargon. We'll see how that goes. We shall see. Iran has no ability to defend anything that we want to attack. There's nothing they can do about it. Iran will never have a nuclear weapon. We'll see. Nor will have the ability to threaten the United States of America or the Middle East, or for that matter, the world. Iran's been attacking the Middle East all week long. All week long, they've been hitting our bases. Here's another gem from Trump this week. He's talking to Brian Kilmeade. Here's this exchange.
Do you think Putin is helping him?
I think he might be helping him a little bit. Yeah, I guess. And he probably thinks we're helping Ukraine, right?
And you are, right?
Yeah, we're helping him also. And so he says that. And China would say the same thing. You know, it's like, hey, they do it and we do it, in all fairness.
Okay. That's kind of a weird admission, isn't it? Yeah, you know, we actually are directly attacking Russia. And that's so Russia's directly attacking us now through their proxies in Iran. That's okay. Who cares? No big deal. We kill Russians. Russians kill Americans. We kill Russians through Ukrainians. Russians kill Americans through Iranians. That's just the way the world goes, I guess. What? At no point in the Cold War did we do anything this brazen. So yeah, actually, you know, yeah, we're just giving the Ukrainians the ISR to strike Russian targets inside Russia. We're attacking Russia with our weapons, and they attack us with their weapons through the Iranians. Who cares? Big deal. Just you know, just nuclear superpowers in direct conflict with each other. Whatevs. Okay. Now there's this one. This is a funny one. This is from yesterday. You might have seen this. Trump posts, the United States of America has beaten and completely decimated Iran, both military, economically, and in every other way. But the countries of the world receive oil through the Hormuz Strait must take care of that passage, and we will help a lot. We'll help you, help us. The U.S. will also coordinate with those countries so everything goes quickly, smoothly, and well. This should have always been a team effort, and now it will, because I have demanded that they help out, be part of the team. And so, as DD Geopolitics points out, quoting Trump, this is the same morning that Wave 50 of Operation True Promise, was what the Iranians call the war, is underway. The USS Gerald Ford is on fire. A KC-135 is down over Anbar with 6 Americans dead. The U.S. Embassy in Baghdad was struck by a suicide drone. Citibank Dubai was hit by an Iranian missile. And Iran's foreign minister just gave a composed, detailed interview on American television explaining exactly why and how Iran intends to keep fighting. Decimated is doing a lot of heavy lifting. Yeah. And then finally we have this one. This is on Brian Kilmeade again, and Trump on the phone.
This is about ISIS. So, I mean, how do you get into the mindset of this? How do you stop it?
They're sick people, and a lot of them were let in here. They shouldn't have been let in. Others are just bad. They go bad. Something wrong. There's something wrong there. So the genetics are not exactly they're not exactly your genetic.
Yeah, see, that's the problem, guys. They are genetically inferior. They are genetically, and they're Untermenschen. They are just genetically predisposed to war. They have to be conquered and enslaved because they're just too violent. I mean, are we seriously going here? This is where This is where Trump is taking us. And then finally we have this clip with Trump saying what he's really fighting for, which is, of course, the gays
in America didn't like it, but meanwhile they're like, oh, well, we support women, we want women to have all these rights. Meanwhile, you're liberating the women of Iran, and then they have an issue with it. I thought that was very confusing.
We support gays, but they throw gays off the buildings.
Yeah, what you're doing.
Yeah. Actually, it's ISIS that throws the gays off the buildings. You know, that organization that you support, that where you brought in their ringleader to the White House a few months ago? Or was it only weeks ago? I don't know. Yep. We're protecting the gays from the evil Iranians, the evil, genetically inferior Iranians. Oh, I'd be remiss if I didn't point out this one. This is a brilliant one. This is from yesterday. Many countries, especially those who are affected by Iran's attempted closure of the Hormuz Strait, will be sending warships in conjunction with the United States of America to keep the strait open and safe. Keep it open and safe. It's not open now. Okay. We have already destroyed 100% of Iran's military capability. Well, then what's the point? Because it's easy for them to send a drone or two, drop a mine, or deliver a close-range missile somewhere along or in this waterway, no matter how badly defeated they are. Okay, so we've defeated them militarily completely, but yet they can still close a strait with a close-range missile or a drone or a mine. So therefore, we haven't defeated them militarily, and they can keep the strait closed. And what will these allies that you don't name do exactly? And then he says, this is great. Hopefully, China, France, Japan, South Korea, the UK, and others that are affected by this artificial constraint will send ships to the area so that the Hormuz Strait will no longer be a threat by a nation that has been totally decapitated. I mean, what do you make of this? First sentence, many countries are sending ships. Sentence 3, I hope China sends ships. Hopefully China and France and Japan will send their ships. Oh, yeah. The feared Japanese Navy. It kind of fell off after World War II, I think, but you know. Hopefully. One way or another, we will soon get the Hormuz Strait open, safe, and free. Yeah, we'll see, guys. We're at the end of week 2. And here Big Surge makes the comment. On one hand, you'd think that unblocking the strait would have been one of the most war-gamed and heavily studied scenarios in the American playbook. On the other hand, Trump is tweeting that maybe China will send some ships to help. Well, that just tells you a lot, doesn't it? And one more from Trump. The U.S. has beaten and completely... The lady doth protest too much, guys. This is every single day. We've completely won, but we're still there. Because somehow there's still a big problem. Countries of the world that receive oil through the Hormuz Strait must take care of that passage. And we will help a lot. We will help them help us. The U.S. will also coordinate with those countries. Doesn't name the countries because there are no countries. There should have been a team effort. Now it will be. Everlasting peace. And here's David Sachs, who is Trump's AI czar, or no, he's his crypto czar, I believe. Crypto czar. Who called this a smart strategy. Thanks to President Trump, the U.S. is energy independent. Yes, a brilliant strategy. We have caused you this problem. Now you need to help us solve it. That's what we're saying. Yeah, hey, China, hey, Britain. Now that we have started a war with Iran that has closed the Hormuz Strait, we need you to help us win the war against them. I'm sure this won't backfire. What if countries go, you know what? Maybe the lesson here is that we should actually not let the United States keep disrupting our trade. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe they're the problem. Gee, I wonder if any country in the world might be thinking that right now. After, Marco Rubio gave that speech at the Munich Security Conference saying we're going to recolonize all of planet Earth and bend every country in the world to our will. Maybe that's the problem. Anyway. I didn't talk much about Pete Hegseth this week, even though he's been in the news a lot because he's such a blatant war criminal. Here's Pete Hegseth. This is a great one.
They're confused, and we know it. Our response, we will keep pressing. We will keep pushing, keep advancing. No quarter, no mercy for our enemies.
Yeah, declaring no quarter is a war crime. How much easier do they have to make this? That is a war crime. What Hegseth just said there is a crime. Often treated as a hanging or firing squad offense. Yeah, because he's too dumb and drunk to know what that even means. Incredible. Incredible. They're going to make the Democrats' job really, really easy. And that is a sad thing. But that's where we are, folks. Anyway, we've got some more things to talk about this week. We'll see where things go, but I tell you, this is not going well. 2 weeks in, 2.5 weeks in now. Short-term pain. Looking for that long-term gain. Remember the long-term gain we got from the Iraq War? Remember that long-term gain from the Afghanistan War? You know, remember we said with Iraq, oh, we'll steal their oil. It'll be great. We'll steal their oil. We'll convert their oil. Or Trump said, well, we should have stolen their oil. Well, it didn't do much. We stole a lot of oil out of Syria. What did that do for us exactly? I don't know. Did something, I suppose, right? Something. What else do we have for you guys? Okay, so let's talk about the synagogue shooting. First off, well, I say shooting. Apparently, the only person shot was the suspect. This is a weird story. Here's this is the scene here. As Mel on X points out, was it really necessary for every law enforcement officer in a 15-mile radius to respond? Yeah, this is pretty incredible. You guys remember there was a mass shooting in a place called Uvalde, Texas, and there was an active shooter who was shooting children, like murdering lots of children, shooting children to death. And the cops just all stood outside and did nothing for hours and hours and hours. This story was that the guy apparently filled up his car with thousands of dollars worth of fireworks, which they call explosives, but I mean, a firework is not exactly an explosive. But he filled up his car with the fireworks, drove it into the synagogue, then allegedly shot himself or was shot by security. There's a lot of weird details left out here. Like, okay, so the guy apparently he had family members in Lebanon that were killed by the Israelis. Here's the story. The man who rammed his explosive-laden truck. They say explosive. Again, you know, when you say explosives, you're thinking like, I mean, at least tannerite, you know, but typically, you know, you're thinking C4, they're going to blow up the building, send shrapnel everywhere. We're talking about fireworks. I mean, they may start a fire. You might get third-degree burns even, but it's a little bit of a stretch to call them explosives. I know they do technically explode, but I'm just saying. Anyway, the guy's name was Ayman Ghazaleh, according to a source familiar with the situation. He posted photos overnight of his family members, including young children who were killed in a recent Israeli attack in the town of Majgara, Lebanon. This is a developing story, and there, I guess, is him and these children who are now all dead. And it kind of upsets me when you see people like, here's Matt Walsh calling it a terror attack. If you keep track on this, 3 Islamic terror attacks in the span of 2 weeks. First off, are you sure the guy's Islamic? There's Christians in the Middle East. I mean, anyone could get disgruntled if your family members are murdered, you know? But isn't it, to me, it's a big stretch to call it a terror attack too. Like, it was a crime of passion. I'm not justifying it. I'm not excusing it, okay? I'm just saying it's not exactly terrorism. It's more of like a revenge murder, a heat of passion kind of thing. And, you know, I mean, you know, it reminded me of this guy. This is a guy from, or this is an Iraqi civilian in 2003. And on April 1st, 2003, an American helicopter pilot murdered this guy's entire family. You see these children in the caskets there, these dead bodies. 15 people his 6 children, his wife, his mother, his father, 3 brothers, and their wives. They were fleeing northwards from an American bombing in the south when an Apache helicopter came upon them near the city of Hilla, fired a rocket into their pickup truck, and killed them all. 15 people. You know, again, I'm not justifying it. I'm just saying if he were to carry out some kind of attack, you wouldn't exactly call that terrorism, would you? That's more like maybe misplaced vengeance. Misplaced vengeance, I'd say. But still, this story just is very strange to me. Like, can you imagine if your family members were killed and you wanted revenge? You would buy fireworks, drive your car into a synagogue, and then, although allegedly you have a gun, it's weird to me it doesn't say what kind of gun it is. Isn't that? Have you noticed that? Usually they tell you what kind of gun it is. How many shots were fired? Was there a fire exchanged? Apparently, it sounds like the guy shot himself. I think was the final story. There were stories also that said he was shot to death by synagogue security. But then they said he killed himself because his body was found in his car. And then somehow also the fireworks caught fire. I guess there was a big fire from the fireworks. But then all the footage you see, you don't see you see smoke coming out of the building. Not really an inferno. I don't know. This whole story seems very odd to me. I guess we'll just have to see. Anyway, what else was I gonna show? Let's see. I think I covered all those other things on that tab. I had a few more. A lot of tabs this week, guys. Oh yeah, so here is Carolyn Levitt. She was on Fox, and here's what she had to say. Hold on, let me put this up on the screen. This is strange video. Here's what she says.
We're now utilizing our strategic petroleum reserve. This
No,
is
I want
what
it
it
bigger.
is supposed to be used for, right? This is the
There we go.
time whenever a president taps it, not as they're going into an election like we've seen in the past, but what is your message to people out there in the country right now who might be concerned to see this blip and this increase in gas prices?
We understand your concerns. We hear you, and we are taking them into account, and we have a plan to address them. And this is a temporary, short-term disruption in global oil prices that the president is ultimately going to rectify by wiping out the rogue Iranian terrorist regime. And the fact that the terrorists are holding the global oil industry hostage by threatening to shut down the Strait of Hormuz and traffic through the strait just underscores the need for President Trump to launch this operation in the first place. We cannot live in a world where we have radical Islamic terrorists threatening to hold the world's oil market and global economy hostage like.
Okay, so if you guys didn't follow that, it's really simple. Trump knew that if he attacked Iran, they would shut down the Strait of Hormuz. So he attacked them to prevent them from shutting down the Strait of Hormuz. And then they shut down the Strait of Hormuz. Those crazy, wacky terrorists. I tell you, the story kept changing on that too, by the way. Remember the story earlier was there's a bunch of articles that said that the Trump administration didn't prepare for Iran to shut down the Strait of Hormuz. And then the administration came out, guns a-blazing. Fake news. We absolutely were briefed by the Pentagon that the Iranians would shut down the Strait of Hormuz. And Trump said, I don't care. They probably won't. We'll do the operation anyway. Is that any better? Is that really any better? But that's what they said. Then there was also, this is in a video. I played the video of this or in another part of that video. Trump says that in the negotiations right before the surprise attack we carried out, that the Iranians told Steve Witkoff, essentially in a real nutshell, we want to continue to build nuclear weapons. The Omanis who mediated the negotiations said this is absolutely not true. Complete fiction. if that was not at all what they said, that they've never, I mean, the Iranians have said categorically, we were not building nuclear weapons. We are not now building nuclear weapons. So they would never say we were going to continue to build nuclear weapons. This is ridiculous. So this guy, who I guess is a lawyer, makes the point that if Witkoff told Trump that Iran told him we want to continue to build a nuclear bomb, and that was a lie, then Witkoff committed treason and should be prosecuted for it, which is why you probably shouldn't appoint your buddies to be foreign negotiators, especially when you have a whole State Department for doing that, where the people have to be approved by the U.S. Senate. So there you go. Mark, by the way, Mark Ashley Price says, hey, I'm late. Sorry I'm late, and I'm going to be a precinct delegate tomorrow. I'm going to file. Congratulations, Mark. Yes, you guys should do that. I believe the deadline, when's the deadline to file? It's either the second Tuesday in April or second Tuesday in May. I think it's actually in May. But file early. It's a good thing to do. Mark says, if I run and win, it will be my 9th term as a precinct delegate. Congratulations. It'll be my 8th in the GOP, as I did 1 term in the Libertarian Party in 2018. Well, good for you for that too. So there you go. Reason number 70 and 71 for going to war with Iran from Rubio this time. The goals of the mission are clear. Yes, they're very clear. Weapons of mass destruction. Oh wait, no, never mind. It's not that. It's protecting the noble Iranian people who are nobly uprising against their government. Oh, never mind. We're not doing that anymore. It's to destroy their ability to launch missiles. Well, good luck with that. Destroy factories making those missiles. Factories can be rebuilt. And again, destroy their navy. This is a very, very, very different set of objectives than what we had before. But okay, there you go. Our objective is to destroy the Iranian military, basically what he's saying. But again, the Navy that nobody had ever heard of until just now. And then there was this lovely one. This is from CENTCOM. CENTCOM says, U.S. Army HIMARS, high mobility artillery rocket systems, provide unrivaled deep strike capability in combat against the Iranian regime. Those who don't know, HIMARS are ground-based missile launchers that are only short to medium range. So as Iran noticed, thank you for admitting that you are using our neighbor's territory to deploy these systems against our people, including apparently a desalinization plan. So don't complain if our missiles strike you, because you've just admitted, oops, you just admitted that you're using their territory to stage these attacks. Anyway, so that's the Iran situation for this week. And naturally, this is also leading to a big uptick in the censorship regime. So we now have Brendan Carr from the FCC. You remember a few months ago, Brendan kind of threatened to take away the broadcasting license for, who was it? Was it ABC? It's Jimmy Kimmel's show it was about. Anyway, he has a new post out, and here's what he says. Broadcasters that are running hoaxes and news distortions, also known as the fake news, have a chance now to course correct before their license renewals come. Everything the Trump administration says is like talking like a gangster. You notice that? Every single time. Yeah, you might want to course correct now before we take away your license. The law is clear, Brendan Carr says. Broadcasters must operate in the public interest, and they will lose their licenses if they do not. The First Amendment is clear, Brendan Carr. This is completely unconstitutional. Also, by the way, very socialist. This is some commie stuff. Broadcasters. Hey, guys. I'm here broadcasting right now. Do I have an obligation to report in the public interest? Because I thought I had this free speech stuff. Anyway, so Brendan Carr says, frankly, changing course is in their own business interest, since trust in legacy media has now fallen to an all-time low of just 9%, and our ratings disasters. Oh, Well, thank you, Brendan Carr, for your concern. The American people have subsidized broadcasters to the tune of billions of dollars by providing free access to the nation's airwaves. You hear that, folks? The airwaves are owned by the government. It's their property. And when we allow these private companies to broadcast to you, they are actually being subsidized by the government for being given the privilege to broadcast to you. This is some commie shit, isn't it? It's very important to bring trust back in the media. Yeah, there's nothing brings back trust in the media than when they're controlled by the state, right? Nothing brings back public trust in the media than when people watch the government order the news stations to broadcast only the news that they like and threaten to take them off the air if they don't. When a political, this is going back, okay, Brendan Carr then says, when a political candidate is able to win a landslide election victory after in the face of hoaxes and distortions, there is something very wrong. No, that's actually something very right, Brendan. It means that people don't buy the media's BS and they can think for themselves. It means the public has lost faith and confidence in the media. Yeah, the media sucks. I know. I fully agree. Doesn't mean you get the right to change their to control what they say. John C. King asks, happened to scroll Facebook, came across this. Witkoff committed treason. Is the show going to be like 60 minutes earlier than this evening and using Biden officials to criticize the Trump administration, the Biden officials that liberate Afghanistan? John, we switched to 8 p.m. Sundays some months ago now. We're now going on at 8, not 9 o'clock. And am I going to use Biden officials to criticize the Trump administration? No, I can do that all by myself. But thank you for your concern. Also, by the way, in the news this week was Trump fired a woman from the Religious Liberty Commission. Tucker Carlson gave her a great interview. What's her name? It was like Carrie Pregine Bowler. I think her name was something like that. Her crime was criticizing Israel, which is verboten on the Religious Liberty Commission. So she was fired for having her religious beliefs. And so another member of the Religious Liberty Commission, the only Muslim on the commission, then just resigned. And by the way, for those thinking, oh, well, she's a Muslim, she actually, this is what her bio says on the website. Samira has courageously spoken out against forcing children to learn radical gender ideology in schools. She testified before the Montgomery County School Board in a case that is currently before the Supreme Court. That case was actually now won in the Supreme Court for religious liberty. So that's who that person is. She was one of the people involved in the Montgomery County lawsuit that has now gone to the Supreme Court and upheld religious freedom against radical gender ideology. And here's what she posted. She said, "My name is Samira Munshi. I am a presidential appointee serving as advisor to the White House Religious Liberty Commission. Today, I'm resigning over the injustice and atrocities of this administration at home and abroad. Full statement below. I'm resigning prejudice of two deeply troubling developments: the official removal of Carrie Pregine Bowler for her deeply held beliefs about Palestine and the federal government's illegal war against Iran undertaken without clear constitutional or congressional authorization. While members of this Religious Liberty Commission have mocked my faith and treated my community with hostility, I hesitantly accepted my appointment last year with the intention of remaining a voice of reason and standing for the religious freedom of ordinary Americans whose voices are not often heard at the highest levels of government. This includes American Muslims whose rights are sidelined and whose existence is met with hateful rhetoric aimed at advancing particular political agendas. My family, both Christian and Muslim, came to America fleeing religious discrimination and persecution. Generations later, their story shaped my approach." And you get the idea. The Trump coalition, folks. That is the Trump coalition. John C. King, I don't understand what this is in reference to. I know what 60 Minutes is, but I don't understand your question. You said, is this show going like 60 minutes earlier than this evening? Or I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't watch 60 Minutes, so I do not follow. But anyway, the censorship is real, folks. Been really bad on X too. Here's another. I've talked about this a bit last week. X has suspended 800 million accounts to decrease visibility for absolutely bogus reasons. I'm definitely a shadow ban, this person says. A lot of people reporting shadow banning, and here's Grok saying this even. Poster implies the vanished from view without notice, affecting fandom accounts, artists, casual posters. The platform calls this visibility filtering, but no official explanation has come from X or Elon Musk have been recent anti-manipulation efforts. So that's X for you. There you go. This is all not good, folks. This is all not good. Remember why we voted for Trump? Does anybody remember that anymore? Was to, what did he say? He said, drain the swamp. I remember draining the swamp. That didn't happen. Doge is no longer existent. The U.S. military budget has ballooned, and Trump wants to increase it by another $500 billion, a 50% year-over-year increase. Absolutely enormous. That was one. Yeah, drain the swamp. That was one thing. Mass deportations. Mass deportations. That's not happening. Nope. Trump said many times now. Trump has said that these farmers, you know, Tyson Foods, ConAgra, huge agribusinesses, Monsanto, they need that cheap foreign labor, so let them stay. We'll deport the really bad criminals, but no mass deportations. That's gone. No stupid endless wars. Out the window. No more policing the world. Gone. America first. Here's America first for you. The guy Trump golfs with every single week.
All the anti-Seminites to all the isolationists. I don't forget it. I'm not with you. I'm with Israel. I will be with Israel to our dying day.
I'm with Israel till my dying day, says U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham, Trump's best friend in the Senate. And as Matt Walsh points out, an insane thing for U.S. senators to say, but there you go. That's who Trump listens to. While we have all these problems, Trump has gone to Kentucky this week, not to campaign for Republicans, but to campaign against Republicans, specifically Thomas Massie, the guy who actually embodies everything that Trump campaigned on doing. And look at who his opponent is. Ed Galrain, this got unearthed this week, the guy that the Israel lobby is spending millions and millions of dollars to put up against Thomas Massie. Look at this. He registered as an independent. Look at the date. May 2016. After Trump won the nomination in 2016, Eddie Galrain left the Republican Party. He's a never Trumper. And that's who Trump endorsed. A never Trumper. Figures, don't it? What a sad situation we're in. Milo posted this today. Trump has lost the MAGA moms. This person responds, can confirm. 3-time Trump voter, lifetime registered Republican, MAGA and Maha, SAHM, I don't know what that means. Attended America Fest 3 times. That's, I think, Turning Point's a big event, annual event. Spent thousands on flights to rallies and events where he spoke. My family went to D.C. for Trump's birthday and the Army's 250th parade last year. That was like last July, wasn't it? And I am fucking livid at the level of betrayal, specifically when it comes to Epstein and No New Wars and Charlie's assassination and turning his back on MTG, Massie, and Tucker, the true America First patriots. Yeah, guys. I hate to say it, but we're screwed. Trump, Tucker Carlson just posted a thing yesterday saying he expects the CIA to indict him, or the DOJ to indict him, based on apparently the CIA claiming he is a foreign agent for talking to Iran. for a reporter getting the story. So, in a silver lining, I did see the one itty bitty teeny weeny thing to mention, which is that Dana Nessel has finally dropped the charges against the electors of the 2020 election. The Republican electors, the Trump electors, the alternate electors, after all things she has done have failed, after spending millions of taxpayer dollars, forcing these poor people to defend themselves at enormous cost and risk. Dana Nessel has finally lost. And there will be no punishment. The Democrats have done absolutely nothing to redeem themselves since 2024, when Republicans beat the snot out of them. And all Trump had to do was follow the program and do the things he said he would do. But he hasn't. Where's Tulsi Gabbard? She's invisible. J.D. Vance reportedly is being sidelined completely because he was opposed to this ridiculous Iran war idea. And here we are, guys. Here we are. 5 months. 5 months till Election Day. No. 8 months, excuse me. 8 months. Till less than 8 months till Election Day. There is no more time for any legislative agenda that the Trump administration is going to do. The SAVE Act. First of all, the SAVE Act, I've said this before, I'll say it again, won't even do all that much. Have you noticed, I don't have the video for this handy, but Trump, he's multiple times now, Trump has been saying, we got to pass the SAVE Act, we need voter ID. And then he says, and no more transing the children, which is not in the SAVE Act at all. It's a completely different subject. I don't know why he keeps saying that. But even that Republicans can't do. Because John Thune won't end the filibuster. I guarantee you, folks, if the Democrats take the House and the Senate next year, they'll end the filibuster anyway. And we'll just be sitting here thinking to ourselves, man, Republicans could have passed any number of things. Remember what the Democrats in Michigan did in 2023? They had a 1-seat majority in the House. They had a 1-seat majority in the Senate. And they got everything. That with 1-seat majority, they could do everything they wanted. They could repeal a right to work. They could mandate prevailing wage. They could pass hate crimes laws, thought crimes laws. 1-seat majority. Republicans have a 1-seat majority. And they can't do a damn thing. John C. King asks, does Thomas Massie becoming BFF with the pro-child transing Ro Khanna bother anyone? John, Democrats are lousy on lots of issues, but the issue that Thomas Massie is BFFs with him on is one thing, which is the Epstein files. You think bringing up Ro Khanna being pro-child transing is an impressive slur when the Republican establishment's protecting a child rape and murder ring, a foreign blackmail operation based on raping and murdering children? Because I'll tell you, I am not impressed by a Republican who's opposed to transing children, but who's not opposed to an elite gang of sex trafficking pedophiles blackmailing and controlling the political establishment in this country. Yeah, so I can't wait till May 19th when Thomas Massie kicks the shit out of Ed Galbraith. And they'll realize, you guys can all sit back and realize the Republicans spent millions and millions and millions of dollars blowing their money that they could have saved to attack Democrats with. Would they say was spent in the Texas U.S. Senate race to protect John Cornyn? I think they said $100 million to protect John Cornyn from Ken Paxton. Good God. It's sad. It's sad. And as I said last week, we are captive passengers on this runaway train. I don't have to tell you, folks. Try supporting your local candidates, I guess. I mean, you really got to think, what are we going to do? I mean, the way I look at it is now, I mean, I think Republicans, if anything Republicans should focus on is like keeping people together for the dark ages that are coming, because we're going to need to, because when the Democrats get back in power, it's not going to be fun. They're going to come after us. They'll come after Trump. And he'll, at this point, deserve it at that point, but he'll come after us too. And that'll be very sad to see. We don't deserve it. So we need to keep together to get into survival mode, because that's where we are, folks. The U.S. is not going to reconquer the world. We are a failing empire. And this absolute idiocy in Iran it's already blown up in Trump's face, and it's only going to get worse. You can see from everything that the administration is doing day after day after day that they have no plan whatsoever. That they're playing it by ear. They're making it up as they go along. Oh, we'll send 5,000 troops. That won't turn into a disaster. That won't be a quagmire. Nope. We're screwed. And by the way, all that military hardware that's going to pour into the region is coming out of Russia, out of Ukraine, out of the Far East. If you want to say, "Oh, this is hurting China because the oil prices," they'll be fine. I don't think I have the tab open anymore, but someone made the point that during the Iran-Iraq war, remember there was an Iran-Iraq war in, I want to say, the 1980s. That Carr Islands, this priceless node of Iran oil shipping, was bombed 3,000 times in the Iran-Iraq war. They still sold oil. Well, good luck. Good luck invading that nation of 90 million people surrounded by mountains. That's twice the size of Ukraine and 3 times the population. I'm sure it'll go fantastically well, especially with no more air defense systems and radars. It's going to be a catastrophe. And we're just going to have to stand back and watch it all fall apart. It's very depressing, but here's where we are. John, I'm not going to reopen this Epstein topic tonight. We've gone through it many, many times on this show. I'm sure we'll go over it again at some point in the future. That's it for us for tonight, guys. As always, thanks again for all you do for liberty. And until then, peace.